DJ Pro was able to fit so many amazing features in the app because they split it into different view modes. And in this video, I'm going to show you some hidden features in my favorite view mode, which is classic mode. The first one is that these jog wheels aren't jog wheels, they're actually emulated record decks. So the difference is if you move this arm over here, you could actually scrub through the track just like if you were moving the arm on a real DJ deck. So all the way out, that's going to be the beginning of the song, and then as it spins, it goes in. So the end of the song is going to be all the way at the end. I don't use it that much, but it is the same thing as if you scrub through the song on these waveforms up here. Some people might find it easier, and maybe it's not easier, but it is really cool. The next one is this little button. Now, if you're used to using this view mode with the waveform showing or with your mixer showing, which I'll get back to after, then you don't see that little button. But only if nothing is selected, you get this little button, and it's basically an on-off switch for the record deck. So if you press it once, the song will slowly build up the speed and start playing. It makes a cool effect. You could use it for transitions. And then also, usually how I use it is if I'm doing a transition from a large BPM to a smaller BPM, I have the song playing, and then you press it, and it kind of crashes down, and then maybe you could go from like an EDM to a hip-hop song or something with lower BPM. It's really cool. That is basically the only thing that I use that button for, but it is there as long as you don't have anything up here selected. Next is down here. These little plus and minuses, they're actually buttons, and what it does is it could speed up or slow down the track. So when you're doing beat matching, you want two songs to be lined up at the same BPM. So one way to adjust it is when you're using like real controllers or CDJ is to adjust the platters. You know, you see DJs doing this. Another way, most controllers have these buttons, so you could nudge it, like if you're off by a little bit, you can nudge it forward or nudge it back, and it's really helpful, and that feature is there. It's just a little bit hard to see. Next is this little musical icon over here. This is actually a button called the key lock. So when you change the BPM of a song, it changes the pitch of the song. So if you take a song and you raise the BPM really high, you get like that chipmunk sound and the sped up sound. And then the opposite, if you slow down the song, you get the slow sound. So if you don't want to hear that, sometimes I like to do the high pitch and then the low pitch as an effect or a DJ trick. But usually, if you just want to blend the songs together and not have the song sound different, you keep this plugged in. So look, this song's sped up. Now I'm going to unselect it. So if you don't have the key lock selected, you'll hear the chipmunk, the adjusted pitch of the song when you change the BPM. So I recommend keeping that on so you don't notice, so nobody notices that you're changing the BPM and that everything sounds like it should. So that is a feature called the key lock over there. Another feature is you could get to your BPM settings by pressing this drop down menu over here. So now you could actually tap in your BPM. If it didn't get the BPM right, you could kind of tap your finger to the beat, kind of like if you were drumming on your steering wheel. Really cool, and that is one way to adjust, try to get the right BPM. You could do dynamic or straight. Now we have our BPM, so let me just adjust it. BPM's here, 85. You could double it. So the only way to mix two songs together is if they're the exact same song or exactly double or half. So this is a good way to get to that. And then in tempo here, you could adjust your range. I recommend keeping it in the middle. This means how precise it's going to be. If you have 75%, you could go up 75% and down 75%. If you have 8, you can only go up and down 8. And then you can also invert your slider here. So now down is up and up is down. Down here, you have your set and your cue, and you could actually change that if you go to your settings, go middle button settings, appearance, cue points. So now it's at set and jump. you could actually change it to just Q. So you see down there, all you have is the Q. I like to keep it on set and jump, so that's what I leave it on, but it is up to you. And then there's actually a little light here. Right over there, there's a light that lets you know you're in the middle with the BPM. Now let's get to the fun part. We're gonna go to our mixer here. So to get to your mixer, it's here. Joggles get smaller, you lose that button that I'm talking about, but you still have nice big joggles, and then you have a mixer here. So we have our volume sliders, our levels over there, and this right here, which is kind of hidden, is your gain. This app has an amazing auto gain feature, so I usually don't adjust the gain, and most people that use the app aren't going to be adjusting the gain. This is where it is if you were looking for it. Most DJ softwares, you usually use the gain a lot, so this is where it is if you were looking for the gain. Now, the coolest thing is we have a lot of features here, but if you press this EQ button, now we have lows, mids, highs, filter. We still get to keep our volume slider. They put it over the levels. So the levels are here, and you have a volume slider, and we get our lows, mids, and highs. So you have a full mixer, and then your 2 decks, so you can do a lot of stuff in this view. And then also, if you press this hidden drop-down menu right here where it says EQ, you could have your Neuro Mix EQ. So I'm taking out the harmonics, taking out the drums, just vocals. So if you want to mix with your Neuro Mix EQ, then you could do it that way. I like to keep it simple and stay in the regular EQs, and this is the screen I usually use unless I want to see my waveforms. If I want to see my waveforms, I will press over here, waveform. Now we have our view of our waveforms. It's vertical waveforms, and they're right there. And then this drop-down menu here, you can adjust your waveforms. I made a full video on the waveform settings, so you guys can watch that. I'm not going to get too into it because it's the same as in Pro mode and the other modes, and we're talking about classic mode. Now the next one is going to be here. To the right, this is our sampler and our looper. So the sampler is pretty self-explanatory. You could play your samples over there. You could change your samples over here. But the thing is, we get a limited selection. We only get 2, 4, 6, 8. In Pro mode, we get 16. So I usually, if I'm planning on doing samples, I usually don't do it in classic mode. But you could also go to your looper. So over here is our looper, and we can change the BPM of our loops. And if you want to learn more about how to use the looper in DJ Pro, check out this video over here.